Hi everyone, I'm Sloan from SloanBella.com and I'm back with another channeled video. This one is on the little missing girl, Madeleine McCann, who was on vacation with her family, her younger siblings, and a group of the family's friends and their kids in Portugal, 2007, in a vacation villa where the family and the friends went for dinner and left the kids all at home sleeping in different homes, in different villas. And Madeline, when they came back from dinner, was the child that was missing. Now, Madeline was just shy of her 4th birthday, and I'm marking that for a reason because it's important. I don't know why it's important, but it is important. It's like she had to be gone before she turned 4. Madeline was a little Taurus who was born on May 12th, and she disappeared just before she turned 4. The date is important to me because it references something. I'm not sure what it is yet. Now, as I started to focus on Madeline's energy, I do what I normally do, which for me, I start my day out running, and I will go for miles on end to free my mind so that the correct information without my personal bias can be put into my head, or I can pick up on it. And for no particular reason, this was a couple of weeks ago, I was focused on Madeline. And what came through to me, kind of in a series of pictures, it was placed in my mind, was Madeline's mother. And yes, I do know she's still alive, but the images I were getting was very interesting. It was Madeline's mother as a grown woman, obviously the mother, the person we see on TV. But in this, she appeared to me to be in a little girl's outfit, just like little Bo Peep, with a long cane or staff. And she was playing almost a game in competition with her daughter, but it was a very sexual game. And she talked like a little girl and she was like a little girl. And then she flipped. And when I saw her flip, she became the mom that is the adult mom that we see on the news media who speaks like a grown-up and has a professional life. Now that confused me for a minute because I thought, what is that? Is Madeline trying to say she misses like story time, or what is happening with that? When I realized that the mom, for some reason, behaves in this sort of changed personality or focuses on herself, sees herself as this little girl, but she was literally dressed from head to toe like a little girl, like little Bo Peep. That's what she looked like. And she was talking like this, and it was very sadomasochistic. So she was playing a kid in some kind of sexual role play, and I could not see who she was doing it with. Okay, so I just put that out of my head. I had no idea what that was about. And when I got home, I started to actually ask Madeline to come through. Now, what happened is the room got ice cold. It's starting to get really cold right now. It got really, really cold on that day. And I've tried to film this video several times, but it has not worked correctly. So hopefully it will work correctly now. Anyway, Madeline came through to me, and what I started to see, the first thing that she showed me, and I want to say this, is that she actually did cross over. She crossed over within the first 4 days of her being missing, if not almost within 15 hours of her leaving her parents' villa. She was on the other side. That's what I get. And it could have actually been more like 30 hours because I could not pick up the correct time as the parents stated it as to when Madeline went missing. I got about 14 to 15 hours prior to when they reported her missing. So I think they actually held off on reporting her missing to the police so that they could either do something, think about it, clear up. Somebody could do something, think about it, clear up. But there was a discrepancy in time that I'm seeing. So I would put Madeline's passing probably a day and a half after she went missing, if we know the exact time that she went missing, and I'm not believing what the parents said. Now, having said that, I started to pick up on Madeline's energy, and it came through just like boom. She's right here. She showed herself as she showed herself in life. So she had not grown up on the other side, at least not what she showed me. And they can choose how they come to show us. But for some reason, she still appeared to be that little precocious child, and she was quite precocious. Very cute, very articulate, and very smart. Now, the first thing that she showed me, and she focused on the picture of herself missing, which I've been staring at for quite some time. So she brought that to my attention and showed me her eyes. Now, there was something about her eye area and something about the way that she was created, DNA structurally wise, as in how the parents had her and what she was bred for. That's what she was basically saying to me. I was born to do this. So I came through like this, but she was kept telling me to look at the eyes in the picture. And the eyes do look like they're not exactly matched, but then I don't know if any of our eyes are exactly matched. People wear contacts, they do all kinds of things. So it's really hard to tell. Obviously she was almost 4, so she wasn't wearing contacts, but she was telling me that she was DNA structurally the kid that they needed. So she's basically saying that from the point of conception to the point of birth to the point of her disappearance, that this was the way it was supposed to be because of the way that she was DNA-wise structured. So it reminds me of, in truth, when you breed dogs or you breed somebody for them to be sold and shown in a certain way. I was kind of going along that line of thinking, although she didn't say that to me at the time. Madeline then grabbed my hand. Now this is going on figuratively in my mind. She's not actually grabbing my hand out here. Not that she couldn't, but in my mind, I stood in her villa where she went missing from. And there were 2 rooms to the back of the villa. I'm assuming that I was at the front door looking back through the living room, and there were 2 rooms side by side. She came out of one of the rooms, popped out of one of the rooms, and she basically grabbed my hand as if I was standing in there with her. And we walked around this living room. There was a kitchen, there was, you know, a living room, and we walked around the living room. And she kept walking me around. She grabbed my hand just like a little girl would, and she was showing me who was in the living room. And there was about 9 people. So I wasn't sure if this was the friends of the family that they were on vacation with. There were no other little kids at the time though. She showed me these adults and they were all looking at her, and she kept taking me in circles. When a little kid grabs your hand and they're running around like this, they're trying to get you to move, and maybe you're talking to someone at school and they run around and then drop. She was doing that kind of motion with me. So I was moving around. Then she snapped my head into one of the rooms. My mind went straight in there, and she had out a little table. She had a doll, and she was having a tea party. That's what she told me. It was a tea party. And she drank this tea. Now the tea tasted like tea according to her, but this is why she fell asleep. This is what she's telling me. I fell asleep. And she fell asleep before these people in the living room left. So actually, nobody had gone to dinner that night yet when she's showing me this. So she fell asleep, and she was saying her siblings fell asleep. So she was showing me, and I don't know the time difference between when the people were in the living room and when she was put to bed exactly, because she morphed it together for me. I assumed the people in the living room were staying while she was being put to bed. I don't know who these people were. I can tell you, when I looked around the room, there were 3 men on my left as I was walking right. And don't ask me, I'm just trying to describe. I don't know directions, whatever. I was going this way towards the bedroom and then coming around this way. There were 3 men over here that were definitely American. They were not from Portugal. They were not British. They were not European. They were American for sure. So these were 3 men, and I feel like they were standing. Madeline is showing me that she drank the tea from her tea party, and then she kind of fell asleep. She said this happened quite often. This has been happening always. This is what she did. She would have her tea and then she would go to sleep. So I'm assuming the tea had something in it that helped her sleep or put her to sleep. And this reminds me of people that used to give their kids Benadryl to have them sleep. I actually had a friend who did that, and I was always afraid the kid would OD on the Benadryl when he was little, because she just wanted him to go down when she wanted him to go to sleep. So there are people who do that. I don't know that this was Benadryl at that time, but there was something in the tea, but it didn't change the taste of the tea, and her siblings drank it as well. She is making me know that they were coming for her, not her siblings. It was not by fluke that they took her and didn't take the younger, more vulnerable children. It was on purpose they took her, and it's because, and she keeps pointing to her face again, it's because of how she looked. She was some sort of a hybrid of some kind. That's the information I'm getting. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming it doesn't mean anything too radical, except that she was literally bred from a person maybe who's very smart. Like you would breed a dog, so you would have this champion dog to show. That's kind of what it's reminding me of. So Madeline was somebody who was stepping into this life with a purpose. And I see the 3 American men to my left as I'm going around the hotel room, and I see the parents getting ready to go out for dinner. Now here's the catcher. Madeline was showing me that there was one set of friends, and I don't know how many went. Actually, I didn't research that part, how many groups of friends. I think there were 4 or 5 other families, but okay, let's say all but one of the other families had no knowledge of what was going on prior. There was one family where the mother looked very similar to Madeline's mother and the father looked very similar to Madeline's father. I mean, they looked similar. Same coloring, same height, same mindset. You might have even thought they were related, and they may have been related, I'm not sure. But Madeline is showing me that this mother was the one that was sent upstairs to check on the kids, which means to open the door, to leave the door ajar, and to be seen checking on the kids. So she was aware of what was going on. So there was one other family in particular that knew what Madeline's parents were up to. And I do say parents were up to. Now, the mom floats in and out of this girl-like behavior, this little Bo Peep outfit with the staff and, you know, it looks like a cane, but with a hook on it. It looks like a candy cane. She's walking with that, and she's very much in competition with her daughter sexually, like for the attention of a child. So she dresses like one so you will see her. It's very strange, but this is what she's doing. And I don't know why she's doing it. And I'm sure she wasn't doing it that night. I just see her doing it off to the side. We have Madeline's mother in my head behaving very weirdly, and then we have Madeline's father over here. Madeline's father is very much a mystery to her because she's not sure that she really understands who he is. He can be one way, she tells me, and then he can be another way. She feels that with her mother, but she feels that her mother does these things because of the father. So that's leading me down the line that the father is more controlling than the mother, which wouldn't be anything new. He's masculine, he's a father. I'm assuming that that can happen in a lot of families. That doesn't actually knock me as too crazy at this point. When I'm looking into Madeline's energy of that night though, she is sound asleep. But before they gave her the tea, she is showing me her bedtime ritual, but it's happening hours before, even hours before the people came to the house that I saw in the living room, the 9 people, mostly men actually, that I see in the living room. She's showing me like a day before. Now I feel that Madeline actually went missing before they reported her. And I'll say that again. I don't feel the time is accurate. I feel it's about 14 to 15 hours prior to when they said the girl went missing and when they had dinner. Madeline is showing me how she is being prepared. They're preparing her. So these people are waiting to see her prepared. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming she washed her hair and showered and stuff like that, but I think I'm going down a little bit of a darker road. She's being prepared, okay? So there's very much that. She's showing me faces looking over her where she is in some kind of a crib. Now she's too big to be in a crib, and I doubt that they traveled with a crib. I don't think necessarily, maybe they ordered a crib there. I don't know. I have no idea why I'm seeing it, but it's like I want to say it's like a box or without the top on where she is laying down, and it's kind of square and she is prepared. I see faces looking in at her, and then I'm taken away in my mind out of that, and I go back into the living room where these men are looking around the living room as Madeline is walking, almost like we're in a pageant, she and I. She's holding my hand. Obviously, they're not seeing me because I don't exist at that time in her world, but I'm seeing what she was doing. So she's walking around, and she's frustrated with the fact that she has to keep walking around. She doesn't like doing this. It happens quite a bit, she tells me, but she doesn't like to do it. Nothing's happening that's bad, but she's just walking around and walking around. So Madeline is doing this, and I don't know the point of it, and I do see the parents watching, so everybody is fully aware of what's going on. And then my mind cuts to the families having dinner. Now everybody's having a good time. I do see Madeline's father as rather excited, and I do see her mother as rather excited. It's like they're super excited. I get the feeling from what I'm seeing that Madeline's parents believe that they're winning something. They've arrived. They're excited. That's how they're eating dinner. They're giggly. They're funny. They're happy. It's happening. They've got their award. Here's their trophy. That's how I feel about them. And I don't like the way that I feel, but I feel this excitement from them. And the one woman I said that is aware of what is going on leaves the table and goes up to check on the kids. At the point that she walks into Madeline's apartment or villa, I think they called it a vacation villa. When she walks in and opens the door, she leaves that door ajar as she's walking down the hallway, and I see it very clearly. So she walks out the door and goes to the left of their villa, not standing in front of it, walking out and to the left. She passes a man in the hallway. She barely looks at him, but she knows darn well who he is, and she continues down the stairs. She almost skips down the stairs to get back to the table. She doesn't even check on her own children. She's not wondering where her children are. However, later on, she will say she went to check on her own children. That is not true. She went up to Madeline's apartment and walked in, opened the door, left it ajar, and made sure that everything was as it should be, and then crossed paths with the man who basically had his head down and looks like one of the three men I saw standing in the apartment. Madeline, again, basically is telling me that shortly after she left the apartment, she really wasn't on this side. She crossed over. I don't feel she's fully aware of how she crossed over, because it feels like she was still under the influence of things as time was going on. Now, what happened that night when the door was open, and it didn't happen then, there was a very, very specific time that Madeline was removed from her apartment. And I actually feel it's 14. So whenever they said that she disappeared or they noticed her, go back 14 hours, and that's actually when she disappeared. So the story is pieced together, it's timed together, and it's not accurate. She is telling me that she was taken because of how she looked and what she was. That's what she's saying. And her parents definitely benefited from her being taken care of. It's a horrible thing to say, but that's what I feel like. Now, when she was taken, I am seeing that there was one man that slipped into the apartment and took Madeline, carrying her just like this, like a baby girl, like you would carry. And I feel like he was a little bit of a thicker looking man with a rounder face or a heavier set face. So he was kind of big, and he kind of slipped in, slipped to the side, slipped down, went down some stairs, approximately 2 or 3 flights of stairs, and around the corner to a blue sedan, or I'm going to say a blue car with 4 doors. I think they call that a sedan. Some kind of bluish car, dark blue car, got into it, went not very far, less than a mile around the corner from the villa into a house. Now, the blue color's really confusing me a bit, because the car is blue, then there's a blue light outside the house. It looks blue as I'm looking at the house, because I'm following her in the car. She is in the trunk of the car. She is not in the back seat of the car. Everybody is fully aware, and they are waiting until they go up to find her missing. Okay, so there is a timestamp delay between when they actually go up to see where she is and to report her missing to the police or the authorities or the hotel or whoever reports whom. Madeline is in the trunk of a car. She is still alive, but not moving. So she is under some sort of drug influence or hypnotic. I actually feel a little bit like it's a hypnotic, like they dropped something into her tea that's, okay, like an Ambien that we know now, but it's actually like a hypnotic. It doesn't knock you out where you're completely like, it puts you into like a twilighty thing. She is like that. She is not out cold, but she's not able to move. I wonder if it's like some sort of a paralytic or a hypnotic paralytic. That's kind of the wording I'm hearing. Anyway, she's in the garage, in the trunk. When they pull up the driveway to this house, and I don't believe the house has a garage. I'm not seeing them go into a garage. I feel like they pull up, lights are off, there's a huge blue light out front, and suddenly that light shuts off. So Madeline is removed from the car, she's carried. There are 2 men. So the car had a person that was driving, the man that took Madeline, and then the front door opens and there is yet a 3rd person. There are many people in this house. They're not very loud, but when I walk in, I see them. And the house and the people look different. The house looks like it's from a different point in time, decorated different, not really lived in, but not all the time. And the way that I look around it, it's kind of sparse, but not. So somebody lives there, but they're not there all the time, or it's not lived in. Okay, so I see that, and I see people all around. A lot of these men that I see are dressed differently for the time. So they look different to me. It's not the style of clothing. Some are dressed up a little bit more than others. Some have hats on, but it's not necessarily a baseball cap. It's a different kind of hat. and some are just very serious and almost non-existent. I can't see them. Like I couldn't tell you who they are or what or describe them, because their energy is literally like covered to me. So it's cloaked or covered. So I don't know who those people are, but everybody is looking at Madeline. She is placed in the middle of the room and she is observed. So whatever is going on, she is placed there and people are looking at her and watching her. I feel at this point, she is then taken to another location close by. These are all close by. And she is taken downstairs somewhere, and she is in the process of being seen, is what she shows me. And then my mind shuts off. I have no idea how this little girl passed away. I do feel there's a videotape. I do feel there were other kids around her. I do feel it was for the purpose of money. I'm seeing money change hands. I basically feel that this girl was taken because of her DNA structure. So they wanted something from her. Now I'm going right into this. I usually will think it's like sex trafficking or something. I actually feel like they took this girl to take pieces of this girl to duplicate this girl, because this girl is considered like a good breeding or good DNA material. So I feel like that's actually why she was taken. She's seen as something, and the parents are rewarded for giving her over or for allowing this to happen. I really feel the parents know. I'm saying that. I feel they know. And she is given over to them. Now she's in this other place that is a basement, and there are other kids around her. There's like 3 other children, slightly older, 5, 6, but not much older, that I'm seeing. She is lying down and they're looking at her. I do see cameras around the room, and I do see people, and their faces are coming closer and closer and closer. So Madeline's in the middle and they're closer and closer and closer. So, and I don't see what happens. In fact, I'm not looking for that. She passed over. She crossed over at that point. Now, I'm asking, how do we find you? Because people want me to ask that, like where to find her. Where do we find her? She is showing me something to the northeast of where she was. And I have absolutely never been to Portugal and don't even know where northeast is from anything. I can't find northeast in my own neighborhood. So take that as you will, but I'm seeing on a compass between north and east is what I'm seeing on the compass on the dial. I am seeing her this way. I'm seeing her out this way. Now I am walking, it's very secluded, and she's showing me that you can't find all of her because all of her didn't go to the same place. That's what she's saying. So when they were removing Madeline from the situation, not her entire self went one place to be buried like we do. We go into a burial place or cremated or whatever. She's not saying that. And I'm feeling like she was put into a box and she was put into the ground, which sounds like a coffin, but it's not. And she was sunk down. So when I'm looking around, I'm looking at my feet and I'm stepping kind of in a murky area. There's like grasses, and then I'm looking out and I am seeing where people walk. I am seeing water. I am seeing like mud, but I'm seeing these things off in the different distance, and I don't know if it's a place. Now, what I am hearing is where her body is private property. It's not actually known property, as in I can't walk there, you can't walk there. So it is owned by somebody property. And I'm seeing that kind of a heavyset guy and another guy. And they did take what was left, or that's where they left her. When I'm looking at Madeline's energy, I feel like she's saying that the property was owned by somebody as opposed to being public property, and it's right on the edge of something. So we have a property line and we have the edge that crosses into public and then private. She's on the private side, and it doesn't matter to her if you find her or not because she's here, is what she's saying. So she can be reached and talked to, and she is not alive on this side. She's on the other side. She doesn't worry for her siblings. They are different than her. Not the same way. She doesn't worry that they're going to be harmed or hurt. She feels quite clear that they're not, and is around them quite a bit. Her energy focuses around them. She is showing me that her parents pulled off a big coup is what great, like a great, this is great. This is a party of grandeur. This is something we look into. The mother is an interesting character because I feel her family bloodline knows about this, and I feel like truthfully she's not focused in reality. She is half child, half grown up, and she operates like a little child. I do feel when Madeline was alive, the mother at home was the eldest child. Even though the parents are the same age, she behaved like a child. She responded and dressed and acted like a child. Will you ever find out what happened to Madeline? And she's shaking her head no. I don't think it's ever going to be solved. People know what happened. The connection goes from Europe to America. Like I said, there were 3 American men there, and her father had business ties to these people. Her father knows these people. This was planned. She was given and they were rewarded. She was given to them. So her passing, her death, her murder is what I'm going to call it. She was given. One of the other family members knows. I'm sorry, not family members, friends on that vacation knows. One of the other family friends knows. Of this, I'm sure. It's the woman that opened the door. I believe when I'm looking at the energy that Madeline was probably gifted to somebody in order to have certain things happen in these people's lives, and their belief system is that this is a good thing to do. It's an honorable thing to do, even though they know that they shouldn't be doing it and it's illegal. When I asked Madeline how she feels about her parents, I am distracted by her energy because she loved her parents, both of them. She sees why they did what they did, and she basically is showing me that she's in prayer on the other side. So when people ask me where the energy of Madeline is, she's in prayer. So she is in the process of trying to hold the light energetically. She shows me also when other children whom she knows on a soul level but not a human level, so from the soul side, cross over, she's there to meet them. So she's telling me that what happened to her is still going on, and that these people believe it to be a good thing. A graduation, a gift, like a coming out party, like a debutante ball. It's like that. And when these little kids come over, Madeline is basically showing me that she crosses over. She's a job on the other side. She's a soul walker. She's walking these little souls across to keep them in a state of heightened love, so that they don't wander off in their in-between. So they're going right over into the light right away after they pass. And Madeline is somebody who helps cross them over. Oftentimes when people pass, we will see, you'll hear it on TV, or you'll hear it, wherever you hear it, that people say, I saw my so-and-so and they came and crossed me over. Madeline is actually the child that helps cross. Madeline is showing me that when the other kids like her who are given and cross over and cross out of their bodies, there can be a lot of fear and a lot of fright at that time. And part of her job on the other side is to actually walk these souls across. So she has a very elevated task, which to me on some level means her soul came in for a reason to experience this. And perhaps it is to finish a cycle with her parents, a cycle that's been going on for several lifetimes, but she's definitely crossing other little kids over. She most recently took a little boy child over who's littler than her. She's kind of now showing me herself getting bigger, holding this little boy's hand. And he recently passed, probably the end of June last year. I have no idea who that is, but she's kind of marking it. And he's with her. She's keeping him safe. And she prays. That's what she says. I don't know how that works for a little girl on the other side. What I'm getting from this, and I try to come into these channelings very open-ended with no expectation. And I go, where the energy takes me. So it's the soul story, not a human story. It's the soul story, which extends outside of the human existence. I feel like Madeline was given away as some sort of gifting to a group of people for a reason. So she's given, and as the gift the parents receive in return. That's how I feel about it. Hopefully this makes some kind of sense. And once again, my name is Sloan.